Have you ever had that moment where you realize the story you've been told, maybe for months, maybe for years, wasn't the whole truth? Maybe it was a friend who left out a crucial detail, a company that promised more than it delivered, or a leader who painted a picture that in the end just didn't match reality. There's a particular sting to that kind of betrayal. It's not just about the facts. It's about trust, about hope, about the feeling that you were part of something bigger, only to find out you were just a pawn in someone else's game. Today, we're diving into a story that's unfolding right now, one that's shaking the foundations of trust for thousands of people. It's a story about Mamdani voters, people who believed, who put their faith in a vision for change. And it's about the shocking truth that's now coming to light. A truth that Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, and perhaps others, desperately hoped would stay hidden. But before we get into the details, let's pause for a moment, because this isn't just about politics. It's about all of us. It's about the universal experience of believing in something, of wanting to make a difference, and then discovering that the system you trusted might not have been as honest as you thought. So let's walk through this together, not just as spectators, but as people who care about truth, about justice, and about the future we're building. Imagine the energy of a campaign rally. The air is thick with hope, with possibility. People are waving signs, chanting slogans, hugging strangers who suddenly feel like family. There's a sense that, just maybe this time will be different. This time, the voices of ordinary people will matter. This time, the promises will be kept. For many Mamdani voters, that was the feeling. They saw a candidate who spoke their language, not just literally, but emotionally, someone who seemed to understand the struggles of everyday life, the rising cost of living, the fear of being left behind, the frustration of watching the powerful make decisions that never seemed to trickle down to the people who need help the most. And then there was the establishment, the old guard, the politicians, who year after year made grand speeches but rarely delivered real change for a while. It felt like the tide was turning. New voices were rising. The system was being challenged. People were waking up. But now, as the dust settles, a different story is emerging. One of manipulation, of backroom deals, of truths hidden behind closed doors. And for those who believe, the pain is real. It's not just about losing an election or a policy fight. It's about feeling tricked, about realizing that the hope you invested was in some ways used against you. Why does this kind of betrayal cut so deep? Psychologists have studied trust for decades. And what they've found is that trust isn't just a logical calculation, it's a leap of faith. When we trust someone, whether it's a friend, a partner, or a political leader, we're opening ourselves up. We're saying, I believe in you. I believe you'll do right by me. And when that trust is broken, it's not just disappointment, it's a kind of grief. We grieve the future we thought we were building. We grieve the sense of community we felt. We grieve the part of ourselves that dared to hope. Culturally, we're taught to believe in the power of democracy, in the idea that every voice matters. But what happens when the system seems rigged, when the people in power manipulate the rules, silence dissent, or hide the truth? It's not just a political problem, it's a crisis of faith. Biologically, our brains are wired for fairness. Studies show that even young children have a strong sense of justice. When we see someone cheat or lie, it triggers a visceral reaction, a sense of outrage, of wanting to set things right. That's why political betrayals feel so personal. They violate something deep inside us. Let's talk about the hidden patterns, the ways in which power protects itself, often at the expense of the people it claims to serve. Throughout history, those in power have used a variety of tactics to maintain control. Sometimes it's overt censorship, intimidation, even violence. But more often, it's subtle. It's about shaping the narrative, controlling the flow of information, making sure that only certain voices are heard. In the case of the Mamdani voters, the pattern is all too familiar. A grassroots movement rises up demanding change. The establishment feels threatened. Suddenly there are whispers of electability, of pragmatism, of unity. Promises are made behind closed doors, deals are struck, and when the dust settles, the status quo remains. It's easy to feel powerless in the face of these patterns. But here's the thing. The very fact that these stories are coming to light is a sign that something is shifting. The old ways of hiding the truth are breaking down. People are asking harder questions. They're demanding transparency. They're refusing to be silenced. Now let's talk about Chuck Schumer. For years, he's been a fixture in American politics, a master of the inside game, a dealmaker, a survivor. But in this story, he's not just a character. He's a symbol of the establishment, of the old ways of doing business. What was Schumer trying to hide? According to insiders, there were backroom conversations, pressure campaigns, and strategic leaks, all designed to undermine the grassroots movement that Mamdani represented. Promises were made to key stakeholders, assurances were given to donors, and the machinery of the party was mobilized to protect the status quo. For many voters, this wasn't just politics as usual. It was a betrayal of the very ideals the party claimed to stand for. It was a reminder that when push comes to shove, the interests of the powerful often come first. But here's the deeper truth. Schumer isn't unique. He's part of a system that rewards loyalty to power over loyalty to people. And until that system changes, these kinds of betrayals will keep happening. I'll be honest, there have been times when I felt like giving up on politics altogether. When the headlines are filled with scandal and cynicism, it's tempting to tune out, to focus on my own life and let the world take care of itself. But then I remember the moments that matter, the conversations with friends and family about what kind of world we want to live in, the feeling of hope when a new voice rises up and challenges the system, the sense of responsibility that comes with being part of a community, a country, a planet. I've noticed that even in the darkest times, people don't stop caring. They don't stop hoping. They don't stop fighting for a better future, and that gives me hope. Maybe you felt the same way. Maybe you've been let down by leaders you trusted. Maybe you've wondered if your voice really matters. If so, you're not alone, and you're not powerless. This story isn't just about Mamdani voters or Chuck Schumer. It's about the future of democracy itself. It's about whether we're willing to hold our leaders accountable, to demand honesty and transparency, to refuse to settle for empty promises. It's also about the stories we tell ourselves. Are we willing to confront uncomfortable truths? Are we willing to admit when we've been fooled and to learn from those experiences? Or will we retreat into cynicism, convinced that nothing will ever change? History is full of moments when ordinary people stood up and demanded better. The civil rights movement, the fight for women's suffrage, the push for marriage equality. None of these victories came easily. They required courage, persistence, and a willingness to challenge the status quo. Today we're facing new challenges: rising inequality, climate change, threats to democracy itself. But the lesson of history is clear. When people come together, when they refuse to be silenced, when they demand the truth, change is possible. So how do we move forward after a betrayal like this? How do we rebuild trust, not just in our leaders, but in ourselves and in each other? Psychologists talk about the concept of post-traumatic growth, the idea that after a crisis, people can emerge stronger, wiser, more resilient. It's not easy. It requires facing the pain, acknowledging the loss, and choosing to learn from it. For Mamdani voters, and for anyone who's ever felt tricked by the system, this is a moment of reckoning. It's a chance to ask hard questions, to demand accountability, to refuse to be fooled again. But it's also a moment of possibility, because when the truth comes out, when the lies are exposed, there's an opportunity to build something better, to create a politics that's rooted in honesty, in compassion, and a genuine commitment to the common good. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the scale of the problems we face, but change always starts with small steps. Here are a few things we can all do right now to make a difference. Stay informed, but stay skeptical. Don't just accept the official story. Seek out multiple sources. Ask questions. Follow the money. Look for patterns. Hold leaders accountable. Write to your representatives. Attend town halls. Demand transparency. Let them know you're paying attention. Support independent media. The mainstream media often misses the real story. Support journalists and outlets that are committed to uncovering the truth. Build community. Change doesn't happen in isolation. Find others who share your values. Organize. Volunteer. Vote. Practice empathy. Remember that everyone is fighting their own battles. Listen to people who see things differently. Look for common ground. Don't give up. The system is designed to make you feel powerless. Don't let it. Your voice matters. Your actions matter. Together we can make a difference. There's a quote I love from the writer Rebecca Solnit. Hope is not a lottery ticket you can sit on the sofa and clutch, feeling lucky. Hope is an axe you break down doors with in an emergency. We are living in an emergency, a crisis of trust, of democracy, of truth itself. But we are not powerless. We have the tools we need to break down the doors that keep us from the future we deserve. For Mamdani voters, the truth may hurt, but it's also a gift. It's a chance to see the system for what it is, and to demand something better. It's a call to action, a reminder that democracy is not a spectator sport, and for all of us, it's a lesson in resilience, in the power of ordinary people to challenge the status quo, to expose the lies, to build a future that's worthy of our hopes and dreams. As we come to the end of this journey, I want to leave you with one final thought. The truth is powerful. It can be uncomfortable, even painful, but it's also liberating. When we face the truth about our leaders, about our systems, about ourselves, we open the door to real change. So if you're feeling betrayed, if you're feeling angry, if you're feeling lost, know that you're not alone. Know that your feelings are valid, and know that you have the power to turn that pain into action. Share this story. Talk to your friends and family. Ask hard questions. Demand better. And never, ever give up on the possibility of a better world. Because the shocking truth Schumer tried to hide is out now, and what happens next is up to us. If this resonated with you, if you believe in the power of truth and the possibility of change, I invite you to join this conversation. Subscribe, share, and let's keep pushing for the world we know is possible. Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring, and thank you for refusing to be tricked ever again.